because I didn't think much of myself. And so the world didn't think much of me. That lined up.
You know, just one of those breakups that really, you know, it was like a tough one for me for whatever reason.
So it looks like J-Lo is done staying quiet about the despicable things that Diddy forced her to do while they were together, because she just spilled some major tea about how Diddy used to mistreat her and set her up into having sessions with him. He was reportedly mistreating J-Lo both physically and mentally. The reason why she was able to escape the relationship was because she didn't actually need Diddy in order to have a career. She was a very big artist at the time, so she had a lot of people willing to back her up to help her get out of that toxic relationship. Now, unfortunately, this wasn't the case for a lot of Diddy's other victims, and that's why he was able to get away with so many things. Crazy thing is, a lot of people didn't even realize J-Lo was one of the victims until just a few weeks ago when she dropped her highly anticipated documentary, The Greatest Love Story Never Told. J-Lo revealed in the documentary that she was stuck in a toxic relationship at one point. She said she was severely manhandled by a particular ex of hers, and he even forced her into doing some unsavory things that she's still traumatized by to this day. She said, being thrown around and manhandled like that is not fun. I've definitely been manhandled and a couple of other unsavory things. Rough, disrespectful. I'm glad that one's behind us. Even though she didn't name drop Diddy, it doesn't take rocket science to figure out who she's talking about. People also found the timing of this revelation very interesting, since she did decide to spill the tea about this around the same time that Diddy is actively being exposed for being a monster. To add up to that, there have been rumors from both fans and people that used to work for Diddy at the time that he and J-Lo were together, claiming that he used to actively cheat on her, put his hands on her, and even drag her by her hair. In fact, Diddy's ex-bodyguard Gene Deal revealed a while ago that Diddy would sometimes leave J-Lo in the house to go looking for Kim Porter so they could hook up. He said Diddy would get really jealous every time he would find Kim with somebody else and would intimidate them into leaving Kim alone.
And he'll call and Kim wouldn't answer, and if she was out, he would ask the babysitter, you know, do you know where she at? Well, she said she was gonna be here because she had Kristen at the time. You know what I mean? So now we going where Kim is at. And if she was with somebody, he made it very uncomfortable for that person to be with, using the bodyguard.
And remember how I said earlier that Diddy used to manipulate J-Lo into his little parties? Well, it turns out that word had spread around the industry that he was using J-Lo at these parties. Gene claims there was a time that Will Smith and Jada attempted to seduce J-Lo into hooking up with them. However, Diddy got really upset and threatened to mess Will up if he and Jada went any further. Apparently, he's only okay with people getting intimate with J-Lo when he's the one initiating the freak-off.
Party that I think either Matt Damon was giving for Ben Affleck. It was just a little gathering. They was at the Four Seasons. Will Smith and his sister and her husband, we were all sitting on this side of the room. Matt Damon, Ben Affleck, Jennifer Lopez, Puff, Will Smith, and Jada, and it was sitting on the other side. He stood up. When he stood up, he walked and did his own some kind of way, like, and then he went like this, you know, like, and I went over towards him. I know to go over there towards him. So I go over towards him, and he said to me, he said, yo, I think Will and Jada is trying to scoop up Jennifer. I want you to stay close because I'ma snuff him.
Now, back to the allegations about Diddy putting his hands on J-Lo. There was also a scene in her documentary where she and a man reenacted a time in her life where her ex was being physically aggressive toward her. The scene was a reenactment of something she actually went through, and she looked visibly troubled during it. When she was asked about the scene, she said, "The idea of the glass house was about how we get into these toxic relationships. You have trauma from your past. You have have these patterns you haven't figured out yet, and you get into these relationships where you compromise yourself in ways you never thought you would, or you allow people to treat you in ways that you never thought you would. And baby, she wasn't lying when she said she allowed Diddy to treat her in ways she never thought she would, because that's exactly what happened. He pretty much had full control over her. He saw J-Lo as nothing more than a product that he owned. Now, going back to Gene Deal, he also said that Diddy would sometimes bring over both men and women in the house that he lived in with J-Lo. There was even a point where he snuck in Kareen Steffans to give him you-know-what while J-Lo was upstairs.
While Jennifer was upstairs, he was down there getting a fillet from her.
Did she ever find out?
She know now.
And you said the female name was Karen?
Yeah, Superhead.
Oh, okay, Corinne Steffens. You got to say the full name, man.
Yeah, I thought it was her.
But it wasn't just the freak-offs and DV that J-Lo was putting up with. Diddy also made her an accomplice to a crime that he committed, and she's had to carry that secret with her for years. It all happened back on December 28th, 1999, while Diddy and J-Lo were clubbing in New York. They were there to celebrate Shine's soon-to-be-released studio album. At the time, Shine was signed to Diddy's record label, Bad Boy Entertainment, so this was a pretty big deal for both Diddy and Shine. However, things got pretty dark later that night after Diddy bumped into a man named Matthew Allen, who was very popular for his street name, Scar, and accidentally spilled his drink all over him. Even though this was an accident, Scar was not having that, and he started talking to Diddy a little reckless. Now at this point, Diddy also got very upset, and he threw his money at Scar like confetti. There were also reports that Scar was the one who tossed fat rubber band stacks at Diddy. But you get the point. They were both having some alpha off and trying to dominate one another. If you ask me, either way, this had to be a win for the people at the club because they immediately bent over and started grabbing as much money as they could. The conflict escalated and rounds went off, one allegedly coming from Puffy's. 3 of the club patrons were injured. 1 woman was hit in the face. J-Lo and Diddy sped away in a 1999 Lincoln Navigator but ran a red light and were pulled over by the police. They were in possession of a stolen you-know-what, which was found in the trunk. They were arrested and spent the next 14 hours in a cell where J-Lo was reportedly crying unintelligibly and sobbing uncontrollably. The charges were eventually dropped for both of them, but their relationship started going south from that point. Interestingly enough, Shine took the fall for Diddy's BS and ended up in jail for 9 years. People speculate that he paid Shine a hefty sum of money to take the fall for that crime, and Shine, being naive and desperate for some quick cash, agreed to it and wasted nearly half a decade of his life in jail. And do y'all remember how I said he hit a woman in the face? Well, she recently got on TikTok after all these years and confirmed that Diddy was the one who committed the crime, not Shine.
I am the woman who he shot in the face in that 1999, December 27th, 1999, Club New York. I have told everyone ad nauseum since then, even the surgeon who did the surgery to take the, I got in my face with a 9mm hollow point. Call the cop. I literally have told everyone and never changed what I said. I watched him. I got pow-powed in the face. I watched him fire. I've said it all this time.
To add up to all this, Lil Rod, the man who recently sued Diddy, also said in this lawsuit that Diddy was shamelessly bragging to him about how he got away with all of it and made somebody else take the fall. Now, J-Lo eventually broke up with Diddy in 2001, and she became a free woman again, but get this. Just about a year after this breakup, she released a movie about a woman who was caught up in a DV relationship and eventually runs away from her husband. A lot of people believe that this film was inspired by J-Lo's relationship with Diddy and how she eventually survived it. In fact, during the filming of this movie, things got so intense for her that she had multiple mental breakdowns. I did have a kind of nervous breakdown. I froze up on set. Well, not on a set, but in my trailer. I was like, I don't want to move. I don't want to talk. I don't want to do anything. It was on that movie. Enough. Yeah, I did. I had a nervous breakdown. So as y'all can see, Diddy really put J-Lo through a lot, and she's one of the few people who was able to actually get away from him. But even with that, she still suffers from the trauma that she endured, and she gives us lots of hints in her movies and documentaries. But even though people feel bad for her, other people also put her on blast for not revealing all this earlier and watching an innocent man take the fall for a crime that she knew he didn't commit. J-Lo is still very scared of Diddy, and I don't blame her. He can still go after her and hers. This man has BLOOD on his hands, and at this point, a little bit more won't matter. But now I want to know your thoughts. What do y'all think about J-Lo finally speaking up about what Diddy put her through? And do y'all think she should also be charged as an accomplice, or was she just scared and a victim like everybody else? Y'all been knew what to do. Let me know your thoughts in the comment section down below, and don't forget to click here to watch this other very messy video.